building down in the future and provide more parking, or are you wanting to use that building? Seems like there's a lot of space in the library that's unused now downstairs.
Right, right. And that was a consideration because in order to finish that, we will have to have additional parking to meet code. So, right now, we would like to use the building. We have several options. We have some issues that it could help us with, the book drop situation, or providing some specialized space for workforce development and training, because we're coordinating with adult ed and Pellissippi to work on some of those expanded projects. So there's a couple of options.
Any other discussions or any other questions?
That's the First Tennessee Bank building?
Yes,
Okay, just make sure everybody knows what we're talking about.
yes. Apologize.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, I'll ask for roll call vote, please. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
Kirby?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? Yes. The motion's passed.
Item F1D, Highway Department, Fund 131, $350,000 for heavy equipment. Go ahead and put it on get it on the floor. Do I have a motion?
Got a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second?
Second.
Now open for discussion. Mr. Dunlap's here today.
As you all remembered, if you remember, we lost cable franchise. This was part of what we was going to do with the cable franchise fee. We're fixing to replace 3 bush hogs bought in the mid-'80s, wore out. We put good money in them long enough. Salt boxes are rusting to the point that we can't replace them, can't rebuild them. Skid steer loader, so some items that we had needed, some items that we were going to do. So I am requesting that we take this out of fund balance. We have a good fund balance now, and help us carry on through with our capital replacement since we lost the revenue we lost this year.
Is there any questions for Bill?
Your fund balance will still be,
We're at about 2.5 right now.
okay.
Sure.
That was 2 items I saw out there before.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Thank you, Bill.
Kirby? Yes. Lewis? Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Now move to transfers. F2A, General Services, $123,714, salaries and capital. I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Let's get it on the floor before I discuss this with you. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. This, y'all received a handout in your packet that explained what we're doing. We are restructuring some of the departments that are under the mayor. This is going to end up saving the county considerable money. We're doing away with some positions. Some positions will be eliminated. Some jobs have been reclassified and positions have been changed, and people in those positions have been reclassified and changed also. One of the things that I really would like to do with some of this money that we're not going to use for salaries is put that towards the comp class study, so that it doesn't cost the county anything other than what was already allocated for those salaries. I can move that money and get that comp class study paid for this year without taking any money out of fund balance. If anyone has any questions on this reorganization. Well, it actually saves the budget around $141,000. Puts No, I'm going to use it's 141,000 savings, and then I want to use partial of that to do the comp class study for the county.
And will we talk about the study at commission, or should we talk about what that is now, just to talk about what that money's gonna go for?
Talk about it now if you want.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody if we go ahead and let Randy talk about that now? Okay.
The proposal that the mayor is recommending is that we set aside $60,000 to implement and have a classification compensation study performed on all of our departments and office holders. Would not include the school system. We're only talking about general county and highway. We solicited proposals to perform that study. We received 5 proposals. We shortlisted the proposals to 2 and interviewed both of those proposers, and we have selected a company called Evergreen Solutions, and they're out of Florida, I believe it is. Is that right, Don? Florida. And really excited, frankly. They have the majority of their clients are public sector clients. They have a little exposure in Tennessee, not a lot. None of the proposers, well, only one of the proposers had a lot of Tennessee exposure. The company is currently doing a study in Metro Davidson County with their transportation authority, and they happen to be there were various criteria we used to evaluate the proposers, and this happened to be the most economic proposal in addition to what we felt like was the most qualified proposer. We were able to meet via Skype interview with everyone that'd be working on the engagement with the exception of one individual, which on a short turnaround to ask them to interview, they were able to pull everybody together except for one. So I appreciate the effort they went to. This will dovetail very nicely, in my opinion, and in their opinion, with the Chronos project that this body and the commission has approved. In essence, we would be creating a class compensation program for Blount County, in addition to having the tools available to us with the Chronos project that will allow us to manage our human resource expenditures in a very efficient way, in my opinion.
Thank you, Randy.
One thing for disclosure, the quote they gave us was $48,000. We are asking you to set aside 60. And the reason for that is, since it has been a number of years since we have done anything like this in Blount County, I want to make sure that we've got the resources available that we can ask them to come in if it's necessary for them to, as part of their proposal, there are a set number of trips and times that they plan on being available on site. I think we ought to have some resource available to ask them to come in more if you need that as an elected body.
Is there any other discussion or questions? I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Kirby? Yes. Lewis? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Thank you. Item F2B, schools, $560,000 in salaries. Troy, are you here? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get that on the table. Do I hear a motion? Have a motion, and do I hear a second? Have a motion and a second. I'll now open it up for discussion. Go ahead, Troy.
We had, in the original budget appropriation, it was approved by the board and approved by the full commission, an amount of monies set aside for teacher compensation. When we went through that process, the budget process, at the time, the collaborative conferencing or the negotiations with the teacher association was still ongoing. So I did not know what that compensation necessarily would look like in terms of how it would be divvied out to the various teacher groups within our budget. That has been finalized and signed off. So this is a transfer to put those monies for that compensation for teachers in the right accounts. So it's kind of a little bit of a housekeeping issue to get the monies that has been previously approved in the budgets in the right cost centers or the right accounts.
Is this correct, Troy, that this has not been approved by the board?
You're correct. This is pending Board of Education approval on Thursday of this week.
I'd amend our motion to make it a recommendation based on whether or not the board approves it.
Yes, sir.
Contingent on the board approval, I should put it
Yeah.
that way. And I didn't make the motion, so I'm going to make that as an amendment, unless the motion makers will.
Mike, you made the motion. Will you accept that amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Troy, how much was originally set aside?
In the 189 account, we had a total of $600,000, of which $100,000 was originally set aside for a differentiated pay plan, which was a different pay plan that was required and mandated by the state of Tennessee. After the budget was approved, the state did not fund those monies. So we were allowed to go back and amend that differentiated pay plan, and instead of $100,000, it's only $40,000 now. So there's $560,000 that was in that account for compensation-related costs. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that does. Thank you.
Any more discussion, any more questions? I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Kirby? Lewis? Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Items G, discussion, possible action. Number one is a grant application for juvenile. Do we go ahead and let's go ahead and do a motion and get a motion in a second, and then I'll ask Tom to come up. Do I have a motion? Okay. Motion, do I have a second? Got a second? Okay. Motion and a second. Tom, you want to come up?
I think it's, the information that's in the packet there is pretty self-explanatory on what we want to do. It's a grant for $10,756 and some odd cents. And basically what it is, we're wanting to set up an access and visitation area down in juvenile for non-custodial parents that's ordered for visitation. They used to do this at the children's home, and now they've cut that out over there. So we're trying to do that along with also, excuse me, also with the Blount County Legal Aid and cooperation with the library. We're going to have some instructional programs and that for pro se litigants.
Is there any questions?
I'm sorry? Yes. No matching money.
No matching.
And it's also recurring, isn't it, Tom?
Yes, it is. That information wasn't available when we put this in your packet, but it is.
Okay.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call vote. Thank you, Tom.
Kirby? Yes. Lewis? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
The item B, GB, 1B, so Highway Department grant. Do I have a motion? Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any discussion or questions for Bill? Bill, you want to come up and explain this grant?
You don't find many grants for roads. You do back trails, bridges, and all that, but you find very few of them for roads. A friend of mine in Nashville called me about this. It's a federal lands access program. It covers any road in any county that goes into federal lands. A prime opportunity to fix our portion of our base road. It's beginning to crack pretty bad. It's going to have to be milled pretty soon. Resurfaced, shoulders reworked. That'll cover from the Menor side over to the Alcoa side. So we're looking at, it's $1 million grant. It'd be a $200,000 match. So the grant would be for $800,000.
Is there any questions for Bill? Mike?
Bill, do we have in there how we're gonna cover the 20%?
I'll take care of that.
I know we applied for grants before and didn't get them. Is this pretty well?
It's pretty much, I think, a done deal.
Be
If they hadn't have called me, there's not many places, Gerald, that qualifies for this. 73 up here going into Townsend, or going into the Coldwood. You know, that's federal lands up there. Very few counties are unique like us. You know, they don't have our bases or so forth. So they're just money laying down there. So it'd be a pretty good chance to take care of over a mile of our base road right now.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions or any more discussion? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I'll ask for roll call vote, please.
Kirby? Lewis? Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Item 2, fixed asset manual. Y'all had that in your packet. Any questions on that? Ask Randy. Randy's got the...
We
Gonna go
provided
ahead.
this to you, I think, a couple months ago, just to give you time to take a look at it. And the only thing we've added here is just a memo from Taylor that just kind of outlines, you've got a black-lined copy of the changes, but those changes are basically centered around the 4 points he's laid out in his memo.
Is there any questions? This does not take a vote right here, does it? Pass this
Well,
on.
yeah, ultimately, we've got to have a vote on it
Okay.
because otherwise we're still operating under a dated document, in my opinion.
All right, then I'll ask for a motion. I have a second. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the fixed asset manual? Okay, I'll ask for roll call vote.
Kirby? Lewis? Mitchell?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Item 3, new commission orientation. Randy?
The mayor has asked that we put together an orientation for our upcoming commission. We would invite the entire commission. Obviously, it will be tailored for the new commission members, and tentatively, we're wanting to do that on the 2nd. And I think we're probably going to have to break it up into 2 sessions just to make sure that we don't create too many issues with people's calendars. So tentatively, we're looking at after the commission is seated and scheduling something that dovetails with that, and then maybe a 2nd session. That'll give everyone time to have gone through their orientation at the state level, and then any questions that they may have that come out of that process, we'd be in a position to address those at this orientation.
Is there any questions for Randy on this? Okay, I'll ask for a roll call vote to send this on. Okay, I'll hit it here in a minute. Item H, finance reports, and that was for information only. Item I, inputs for items not on the agenda. Any input items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved.